Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fig Night at the Tavern. I am the OG Fig Kid, Thomas Montalto.
I'm Mike Belcaster.
I'm Snead.
And we got our special guest, Chris Metzger, director and packaging designer for Jazwares, and he works on the AEW line. We're super excited to have him here, man.
Great to be here, guys.
Yeah, welcome to the show. This is exciting. Very, very exciting. A lot of wrestling figure history here.
Yeah.
Toy
history.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, not just wrestling figure history for us wrestling figure nerds, but toy history.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So how did you get into this? Let's start way back at the beginning.
Yeah, good question. So, I started my toy career at Tyco Toys, probably in 91. So I worked there for 5 years. At Tyco, worked on RC stuff, some racing slot car stuff that they had. And then after 5 years there, myself and two other guys actually decided to start our own company. The company was called Hyper Design, and I did that for 25 years. One of the first jobs, we were fortunate to actually work for Toy Biz of all companies. Had a great blast working on, the Marvel stuff, Spider-Man stuff. And then suddenly, they got the license for WCW, right? And it's funny because I wasn't a wrestling fan at the time, right? Like, as of now, I'm pretty much a latent wrestling fan, right? So, but at any rate, my buddy who worked at Toy Biz was like, oh, I got this new thing. It's wrestling. You may or may not have heard of it. So we started doing all this great stuff for them, and it's been a blast ever since. And and it's funny, it's come full circle. Stuff I've worked on, even wrestlers that I worked on 25 years ago, that I packaged then, I'm packaging now. Sting, for example. So it's crazy. It's like totally crazy.
That's super cool, man.
That's I guess that's coming full circle.
Yeah. Oh, as I like to say, full squared circle.
Full squared circle. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's friggin' awesome. So when you design these, do they come to you with the idea, or is it totally your idea?
Well,
how does that work?
Well, in terms of what the product is, what the content is, that's totally comes from the product side, right? Then we collaborate with the brand team, guys like Greg Mitchell, Dave Jackson, and then we sort of bring it in to the product side, which is Kevin Tully, Steve Dijak, and we just see what the best outcome should be, right? So a lot of times it's like, well, at least for me, it's the package is the product before the consumer opens it, and that's been my mindset and my mantra for going back to my Toy Biz days, right? Especially for the MOC guys, because they dare not crack it open or keep it in a poly bag and in a dark in a dark area underneath a couch or in their cupboard or basement or whatever, right? So, I'm all about presenting the figure in the best way it can be visually, not only at retail, but from the collector side of view as well. So, yeah.
I love that too, because I'm definitely a mock collector, and it's, I catch a lot of heat for not having a Lucy collection, but it's all about the art for me. I love keeping it in there and seeing the way it was supposed to have been displayed. And that's just how I am. I mean, I get a lot of heat for it, but
yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, it's super cool.
I do both. I have a loose collection. That's why I'm really broke, because I buy two of everything. Especially when you get these awesome, I'm like, oh, I'm only going to get one of the Jurassic Express sets. And then you see that amazing box that it came in.
Yeah.
And what goes that was just incredible. What goes into designing that?
Yeah, like again, bunch of things like working with not only Jurassic Express being a ringside exclusive, right? So we work with Jonathan and Trevor over there, right? So this is their idea for a package, and then we move over to the product team, like what's their intent, how to formulate and design the figures, right? And then we bring it into the packaging side with collaboration all along, right? So for Jurassic Express, we had the idea. We saw that, the 8x10, that Jurassic Express is, their signature deal, like them coming through the forest primeval with all the foliage and all that good stuff. So it's like, hey, we could do that on a package, right? So, it's sometimes just pulling from obvious and apparent inspiration. And other times it's like, digging deep and see what you guys can come up with,
It's super cool. I that's one of my favorite pieces. Ringside's got a really cool like space for those kind of awesome boxes.
Well, actually, it's funny. It's like that is, although it's a great package, that is my least favorite Ringside package.
Really?
Yeah, because I only wish, and this is a total afterthought, right? I wish we had put a die cut window on the top with yellow film, so when you do shine a light on it, it all filters down and light. But everything can't always be a winner, right?
Right.
Did you come up with that idea after?
Yeah, it was after the fact, but maybe next time. Maybe next time, right?
Yeah.
So something like that, is that something you put in the memory bank and say, okay, we're using that down the road?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's always those things, like you're always revisiting what you could have done better, even though if the prior one was a success, whether it was the Jurassic Express or another item, you always have those things like in your head, like what could be done better.
Just think, if you would have done the running change with that, they could have sold double the amount, because people would have been running out to get that box.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, so what is your favorite then? That's your least favorite.
Definitely, like how your first is always your favorite, right? So the bubbly, awesome. Yes. Like that was like totally favorite. Like I said, a great collaboration with Kevin Tully and Steve Dijak. We just sat in our conference room, had the whiteboard going, what if would we do this and do that? And it was great. And there was some challenges on the production side, but we're really, really well with our Hong Kong team and our counterparts in Asia. And we definitely, I think we nailed it. I think it's like awesome. I mean, that's again, your first is always your favorite.
See, so it's your fault I went out and bought like 2 extra when I got it in the mail from Ringside, because I'm like, this is so awesome, I need more. We have a question from Matthew Goldberg.
Right on.
Yeah, hey Chris, who does the package and photography versus what I do for the team? I'm curious how that process works. Matthew takes all the Lucy photos for Jazwares.
Right. So, a lot of that stuff is done on the social media side and not necessarily the packaging side. That's all I can answer on that side of the question. But I don't know. There might be opportunities. Again, just saying, there might be opportunities down the road where we can kind of use this real great stuff that Matt is doing, on packaging.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So how has packaging evolved over the years since you first started to now?
Well, I think over the years there's been much more innovation, right, in packaging, not only in materials but even design, right? Like back in the day, it was you had your square blister card, you had your square blister, and you just like slugged it in there. There may or may not have been, a blister insert showing the product name, etc. But I think now, I don't know. I think it's not necessarily like a technical evolution, but I think it's more of a design evolution, right? Whereas the collector has become more sophisticated, so has the packaging.
Oh, that makes sense. So if you focus too now on mint on card collectors, like do you take that into consideration now more than when you first started?
Like I said before, for me, sorry, I get animated when I talk. I put my water. You're just glad it's not a pacemaker, right? So anyway, like I said before, right? The product is always, the package is always a product before the collector opens it, right? So, it just like I've always been a proponent of like how can you best display this product, whether at retail or wherever that makes sense. Like I've always said that like let's create a space in which this product can live. In this case, the space is the package. So, me personally, I'm not one for gimmicks and things like that. I like, for me, packaging design is what it wants to be, not what it needs to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes sense. I've just recently saw a picture of somebody's collection. It was all mint on card, but they had set their room up like a store.
Yeah,
and it had the pegs
awesome.
and everything, and it looked amazing. And I'm like, that's something I think I need to think about for the future, because they just had like even 4 on a peg, and it just looked great.
Yeah.
You get that excitement of just looking through it to see who's behind there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Like even go back to the bubbly packaging. Like I bought the actual bottle of bubbly. I keep it in my collection next to the bottle of bubbly that I haven't opened yet, that I'm saving for that special occasion. But it looks so cool. Like it's like you got art and the product next to each other. It's super badass to see.
That
Cool.
was they're all amazing. They're absolutely all amazing, and I love the coloring difference on the packaging for the Unmatched series.
Yeah.
Those boxes pop, man.
Yeah, so you're talking about Unrivaled versus Unmatched, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
just a subtle little change, and it's like, wow.
Well, that was the idea, and I know there was some talk back and forth with the packaging team and brand, like, do we do a departure? And the idea was let's keep it in the family, right? So we just kept it, change the insert color, change the foil color from gold to silver. So there's some design cohesiveness there, but yet it's should be viewed as as the same family. But what I love about the Unmatched collection are the chases, and you know what I mean, like the LJN old school thing that we did, right? So that was a challenge there, right? So for that, it was definitely like there was some talk back and forth. Do we do the LJN style packaging? With what I talked about before, the square blister.
Yep.
The square blister, the square card, but we decided to let's do a hybrid here, right? So I'm sure you guys seen the package. I know you guys seen the package. So we kind of did the, what we were doing for, structurally for the Unmatched Unrivaled, but bringing the LJN flair into it. And I don't know if you've seen the poster or the background. There's kind of a who's who there at Jazwares on the poster and the packaging.
Yeah, that it's so awesome. I mean, I was an LJN kid, so when I saw these figures were coming out, I was so excited to get my hands on LJN again. And I think I opened it up right on his show, my first Cody, and I was just so excited. So okay, so are you a collector?
You know what? Ironically enough, I am not a collector, right? And I've been doing this forever. And at some point, I wish I had been a collector. Back when I had my own company, I had a storage room, and we'd get samples of, the Marvel stuff, whether it be the Spider-Man or Hulk stuff that we worked on, the wrestling stuff. I mean, I had shelves of this stuff. And, one day I saw this email or notice for Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
Gave it all away. So
wow.
But yeah, it's I don't think you have, for me, I don't think you have to be a collector to appreciate it, right?
Oh, no, I agree with that.
So
do you have any of the newer stuff saved, or no? Do you just
No, just the stuff.
Wow.
There's a shelf back in the office and just the stuff that I work on, right? So,
Wow,
but
man.
yeah,
It's amazing stuff.
I know I'm a bit of an anomaly, I think.
Not in a
And
bad
you
way.
probably have more money for not being a collector. That's one thing I can guarantee you.
Yeah, true.
Matt Matt had another question. He said, "I know packaging is starting to go more eco-friendly. What are your thoughts on the future of toy packaging?"
Oh yeah, for sure. There's actually a company-wide initiative to minimize harmful plastics, right? So we moved from PVC to PET, which is a more eco-friendly and recyclable packaging. And I know there are certain varnishes and foil treatments that we're trying to stay away from. So, for example, Championship Cody, that was before the initiative with all the foil substrate and all that stuff. So yeah, we're definitely moving towards as a company, Jazwares, we're definitely moving towards more sustainable stuff.
I mean, I would love to know when you get that Championship Cody in your hand and that packaging. I ordered 2 to open one. I couldn't open one.
I believe it or not, I haven't even seen a package yet.
Wow, it's
crazy.
amazing looking.
Yeah.
It is
amazing.
amazing.
Seen photos. Yeah, and again, that was a super fun one to do.
Wow.
In the moment type of thing, and the idea collaboratively came with the idea of the double or nothing acetate screen in the back, so you can backlight it, which was like we didn't promote that. That was more of an Easter egg. Like, can fans figure that out? Right? Can they put a flashlight there? Like, oh my gosh, it lights up and the flame pots and all that stuff. So it was good stuff.
No, that's one of my favorite things I think I've seen out of the ringside packages, because I like that I opened it, or when I got the box, I opened up the box from ringside. I was like, holy shit. Like it took me back for a second. I was like, wow. I was like, I took the flashlight, I was showing the kids. I was like, check it out, guys. Like, it's like a real stage. And they're like, whoa, that's cool. Like, open it up. I want my toy.
Yeah, that was a super fun one to work on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it is. They've all been amazing. It's so exciting. Like now, I'm actually getting exciting when Ringside announces new exclusives. What's the packaging going to be like?
Yeah.
Like it's totally changed the game. It has totally.
Well, it's funny. Like I would say, for the most part, right, when we work with Jonathan and Trevor at Ringside, generally, I think Magic had said this on a previous podcast, right? They kind of work collaboratively with the idea what they're thinking in terms of product wise. And I would say 70% of the time, if not more, they don't see the packaging until it's finished. So we always like to get so they have that implicit trust in my team and the rest of Jazwares to, you guys are going to deliver something great, which is great, and we're really appreciative of that partnership with Jonathan and Trevor. But like again, for me, it was funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, oh boy, I wish I could. And I said this person, I wish I could work on Ringside exclusively, right? Because they're so super fun to work on, right? And we can kind of push the boundaries a little bit that what we offer in mass, not only in content, but only in packaging materials and different packaging executions and things like that. So they are super fun to work on.
Yeah.
What's it like the actual wrestlers you're designing the packaging for and seeing their excitement? A la Luchasaurus. I know there's a picture of you.
Oh yeah. So that was we were down at the Double or Nothing down in Jacksonville, right? They had the fan fest that was prior, or during, or whatever. And so we had our little setup there, and it's funny. So like Luchasaurus and even Brett and a couple other different wrestlers would come down to get a sneak peek of, hey, what are you guys doing? Whatever, blah blah blah. So so Austin came down and, hey, let me get a picture with you, that type of thing. And but I got to tell you, like, spending time with these guys, not only in their persona, but in the the real Austin or whomever their street names are, backstage, are just like regular people, right? And it's just cool to so cool to hang out with them. During the we were down in Jacksonville. It was during the time that the Sixers were in the finals and all that stuff. And I know like Orange, Cassidy and Chuck Taylor, they're Philly guys, right? So, I'm sitting there talking, and we were talking about basketball, right? And it's just like they're just regular people, and it's just so awesome just to connect with those guys and gals on a personal level. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I was standing there when Sheeta got to see her figure, and you could just see the excitement on her face. It was awesome.
Yeah. Especially, I know, like when Aubrey, right? Because she didn't know, right? So like, and there was like they were doing stuff, and they were like, "Hey, can you go wrangle Aubrey? She's over there. Can you bring her down here? We're gonna do a special moment, right?" So I grabbed her, and we're walking through the Jags practice field to where the fan fest was. And I'm, trying to make a small talk, like, "Oh no, I'm a referee too." It's like, "Oh," she's like, "Really?" So I'm a rugby referee. It's like, "Oh, you're a referee for a real sport, right?" So anyway, so I got her there, and there was a couple minutes delay. And then finally, when Greg and Jonathan and those guys came around and showed it to her, I don't know if you saw the reaction on, social media. She literally was crying. It was, but for me, that's that's awesome to see. How these guys react, or these gals react to, seeing myself immortalized, not only in a figure, but packaging as well. And it's great stuff.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So how long, when you're work on, say, a ringside exclusive package, and how long does one box take to design, and from beginning to the end? Like, can you walk us through the process a little bit?
Right. Yeah. So, like anything corporate, we have a, development cycle, and, some of these are, a year out, some of them are, 8 months out, but, once we get the, what the product is, from the product team, as per, the ringside input, it takes a while, but sometimes we nail it, we jump on it as soon as we can in terms of schedule. Sometimes it, resolves itself, the design resolves itself, in a matter of a month or less. Sometimes, there's other priorities that come along with, other waves and things like that. But, it doesn't take very long. I would say, maybe, a month and a half, 2 months at the most.
Oh, wow.
And then we work with, once we have the idea, like we have a really, as we have really, really good allies in the AEW team, right? So we'll ask their photo teams, like, "Hey, we're thinking of, this type of package. We would really, really like to have an image of so-and-so doing such and such on this package. Can you guys pull it up from your archive, or, any of your still photos, or even a video grab, some of the live stuff?" And they're super, super accommodating that. And, it's so funny. They're just excited about the packaging as we are, and even ringside is. So they're super, super great, partners to have.
That's awesome.
Wow. That is awesome. We have another question here, a comment. Let's read that comment. You guys are really a special part of making these wrestlers into the larger-than-life characters they become from a culture standpoint. And that's so true. Do you even realize that? Have you, do you ever stop and take that in?
Yes and no, right? So, like I said, I can only speak to the packaging standpoint, right? But, I mean, if your likeness is in a box sold at Walmart and Target, right, I'm sure, these guys are ecstatic that they become larger than life, and it's pretty fun stuff. And I've had the privilege to talk with Mike earlier on separate occasions prior to this thing, and for me, I had no idea this kind of following was out there, right? I mean, I was getting props on Instagram from stuff that I did 20 years ago, having no idea. And I thank Magic for that. Magic's like, "Dude, you should be on Instagram because people, guys and gals would love this stuff." So that's why I only had 15 posts or whatever.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's it like seeing your work on a peg at Walmart or Target?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Even like going back in the day, I have a son and he's older now, but when he was like, 5, 10 years old, like I'd take him through the store, like, oh, this is what Dad did. He's like, oh, my dad did that, my dad did that, my dad did that, right? so it's like one of those things. It's like, it's gonna, hopefully it's gonna end up there, right? I guess it would be like, I hate to be cliche here, but it's like, it's more of a question than a statement. Is it like an artist being shown in a gallery? And how trite that is, right? But that's our gallery, right? As a designer and all that stuff, right? I mean, that's where the stuff ends up, right? And if you're accomplished and you work hard and you're fortunate enough to work on great brands, not only AEW wrestling but the stuff I've done in the past, that's, like I said, that's your gallery,
Yeah, no, that's super cool.
So absolutely. So through all this, you've become a fan of AEW?
Oh yeah, for sure, right? So we're doing the AEW stuff. Got invited to the live events, and being back of house with the talent is super cool, right? Like because back in the day, when I was a kid growing up, I was, I don't know, wrestling curious, as you should say, right? So like there was guys like like Andre the Giant, George the Animal Steel, Chief Jay Strongbow, Billy White Wolf, Gorilla Monsoon. Those guys, used to, my buddies and I used to huddle around those black and white TV and watch these guys, right? And to me, back in the day, like, not to say they were athletic or that kind of stuff, but these guys would go at it, and they were obviously physical. But what I admire about the wrestling today, and why I've become a fan, these guys are much more athletic, right? These guys, they probably they follow the same regimen and of diet and physical exercise and, physical fitness as would any professional athlete, like a football, basketball player, or whatever, right? And, having seen these guys, do these, 2 or 3 flips off the top rope, and, the guy in the ground knowing it's coming, but being the athlete to know how to accept this guy and fall the right way so they don't get hurt. To me, that's been crazy amazing, right? So it's not only the talent, the athleticism, and the commitment, right, but the personalities, right? So like I said, being backstage, like I have two sort of two unsung heroes in AEW that I've grown fond of, and chat with from time to time. He's like Joey Janela and Leva Bates. They're to me they're like the unsung heroes of AEW. A certain fondness for Joey. Joey grew up, albeit much after I did, a couple towns up in Jersey Shore. So we would talk about, hey, is that bar still here? Or, what do you do? And blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's like I said, I'm a latent fan, and I've become a fan, not necessarily, sucked in by the personality and the personas of, the talent that's out there now.
Does that make it easier, though, for you when you have to design something of it now that you're a fan?
Oh yeah, for sure, right? Yeah, I mean, not to say there wasn't any passion in my work, prior to being a fan, but yeah, I mean, you have much more, you have a better insight as to like the ethos and, the mindset of what wrestling is today, and literally, like, I'm like I said, I'm a latent fan. I've probably only been following AEW now for maybe 2 years at the most. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's super cool to see.
Thank you for all that you've done for the collector community from Austin.
Happy to do it, Austin.
Yeah. And the FigFig, where does your initial creative ideas come from for each project? Great work.
Yeah. So actually, that's a very good question, right? So I know designers have different methods of working. Some designers are all about the thumbnails and the permutations of like, I've done this and where can it evolve? And sometimes, I work and we work collaboratively with the packaging team. But for me, my favorite, I think about it for a long time, right? Driving home from work, in the shower or whatever. And then suddenly I get the Polaroid picture in my head, what it should be. Not saying that's always the correct and final design, but that works for me. Like just thinking about it, like I'm one of those lucky people that very visual, and I can sort of sort things out visually in my head and kind of put things together, and then then work it out or put it to paper right away, or put it going in Illustrator or Photoshop and putting on screen right away. So that's personally how I work. But again, there's always the times and when I work with the team, when we collaborate and kick things back and forth and to come up with a solution there.
Wow, that's awesome.
So what came first? How did you become a rugby referee?
Oh, that was a bit of a midlife crisis right there, right? So my son, he played rugby 6th, 7th, and 8th grade or whatever. So my friend Andrew and I, the boys were in high school playing rugby, and we both turned 50. It's like, hey, let's become rugby referees, right? So we took a course, and since then, refereeing, men's clubs, college clubs, anyway from, I've done Princeton, I've done U.S. Naval Academy women's team, 8th grade kids, 7th grade kids running around, but I love it.
That's awesome. Rugby seems like such a rough sport, man.
Yeah, well, what do they say? It's and I don't want to glom the whole conversation here, but it's a gentleman's sport played by hooligans, right? so or I'm sorry, it's the other way. A hooligan sport played by gentlemen, right? So it's very civil, actually, believe it or not. And I'll leave it at this last comment, but rugby doesn't have rules. Rugby has laws, right? So the referee or the sir, and you're the only one on the pitch, is a sole judge of fact and law. So that's the role of the rugby referee.
That's super cool, man.
That's awesome.
And there's a lot of running because, like I said, a rugby pitch is about the size, a little over the size of a soccer field, and then you're one guy trying to keep up with all those guys.
Oh man!
Wow, so you got to be in shape.
I try.
Or get you in shape, one or the other.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So like when going back to WCW,
sure,
packaging for them, when that line kind of ended and WCW kind of disappeared, when you guys got the licensing for the TNA figures.
Oh
were you like, all right, back to wrestling again, or I'm super ready?
You're right. It was just like, hey, it's another project that came along from Toy Biz, right? And because we had the wrestling experience, they're like, hey, you guys want to take a stab at that? But
yeah.
So let's go back to like the WCW stuff, and that was like That was super fun. Like even working on the Smash and Bash stuff and the Smash and Slam stuff. And the funniest thing for me is like the most toyetic moment in wrestling history, right? When Toy Biz did the Ringmaster series. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
right. So the idea was like, oh, Goldberg's finishing move is called the jackhammer. Let's give Goldberg an actual jackhammer and a hard helmet and put him in a package, right? Or even like Chris Jericho, which I had the fortunate, to work on his packaging, way back then, and kind of working on Bubbly. But during the line art, he came with a whip and the stand and a little lion. That was like this. So it's like again, toyetic, right? Today it's all about like the figures and the authenticity, and people gripe about, the face scan is terrible, or the face sculpt is terrible, blah blah blah. Like back then people didn't care. It's like, let's put
Absolutely.
Chris Jericho with a lion whip, or Goldberg with a jackhammer. You know,
I think that was Chris Jericho's only WCW figure too, by the way, which is crazy.
Wow.
Did you work on any of like the box sets? Like they had like an Evolution of Sting box set where it was all of, like the older Stings to the newer Stings.
Yeah, maybe. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we worked on Clash of the Champions and a bunch of other stuff, and even Bash and Brawlers, right? I don't know if you remember those. Which is Toy Biz answers to Wrestling Buddies, right?
Yeah.
So, but they had like the product had like the sensor technology, right? So it realized if you're grabbing the arm, whether it be the right or left, right, and then hit the voice chip of like Sting or Goldberg or whatever, ouch, you're hurting my right arm. So that was the big technology back then, right?
Yeah, I still have mine. I love the Macho Man one. Like when he squeezes his nose, he's like, "You're breaking my nose." And it was yes, all right, this is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
those things were awesome. As a kid, those things were awesome.
Yeah.
So I remember.
But it's funny. But I don't know if you remember, like the packaging. The plush was, well, not that great. Putting it mildly, right? So if you remember on the packaging, we had to do an illustration of it on the front with like a kid holding it because we had done a photo. It was like, it was all morphed out and it wasn't that great. So
those are very sought after now. Very, very high collectible.
I know.
Memories, yeah, man.
Yeah, well,
gotta shoot down nostalgia lane eventually. Right?
Well, it may be his memories, but it's my history. You know what I mean? But it's all good. It's like I'm super fortunate to work on this stuff. Now and in the past, and I had no idea. Like I said, 25 years ago, I'd be working on some wrestling stuff. Even Chris Jericho stuff 25 years ago. Not only to do Chris Jericho stuff now, so it's pretty trippy, and pretty trippy, especially because I'm not a collector.
Went from the lion tamer to the bubbly,
exactly.
Miles above and beyond.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome, man. So what's some of your favorite things you worked on outside of wrestling?
Oh yeah, for sure. So back in let's talk about some Jazwares stuff, right? So we're working. Not only do I work on AEW, I also work on Halo and Pokemon. Lead those teams there. We got some really good, like on the Pokemon side. The packaging is good too, but like from the product side, we've got these statues, these deluxe statues, right? Like last time around, we did a Mewtwo. We're doing a Pikachu. Nice. Now it's great stuff, man. And, the Halo stuff is great. Could be like working with the 343 team. Awesome. We're actually working on some Halo Xbox shop stuff, exclusive Very stuff cool. Now. Super fun stuff to work on. So yeah, it's good stuff. And back in the day, I worked with Universal, Warner Brothers, right? So worked on the style guide and packaging program for Despicable Me. Worked on Lord of the Rings stuff and like Hobbit stuff for Warner Brothers. So yeah, super fun stuff. Back in the day, worked on the style guide and packaging for the first Spider-Man movie, second Spider-Man movie, first Hulk movie. So
wow,
yeah, super fun stuff. Yeah, super fun stuff.
Yeah, no, it's an impressive list of super fun stuff.
But, cool. It's funny. It's like you know, even Magic was saying like, oh my gosh, this is like great stuff. It's like it's what, you know, it's what I did for money, like back in the day, right? You know, albeit it's a career choice, right? And you know the subject matter was awesome, right? And you know, I just felt fortunate to work on stuff like that. You know, I've often considered like other people that I went to school with or people that I know that work in the industry would work at, you know, an advertising agency or somewhere else inside, like a corporate internal communications, whatever. They work on the same stuff day in and day out. Like, well, like our client at the advertising, they make widgets and we've got to do creative for widgets all day long until our contract expires. But, you know, I always felt fortunate and lucky that, you know, the type of projects and clients that I've had throughout my career was always something different, you know, whether it be, you know, a live action movie or a great, you know, licensed property. It was just super, super fun. And it was always something different, and it always gave you the opportunity, and my team the opportunity to, you know, okay, how are we going to handle this one? And let's push the boundaries. Let's do something unique and different.
That's super cool.
That's really awesome.
The
Fig Freak.
and to be clear, Fig Freak, the ones I did was the first movie with the big minion head holding like the whiteboard. Yeah, I think Thinkway was the licensor for that one.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Or
the licensee rather.
So, as you watch AEW now, do you ever see somebody and say, "I can't wait to make packaging for them"?
Yeah, especially with like, you know, on the ringside side, right? There might be a little intro or a vignette or something or a moment in time. You're thinking, like, you know what? If we can capture that would be killer, right? So yeah, there's actually a couple that come to mind, and there's actually a couple that are in the works. For sure.
Nice.
Cool.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
And just like the Jurassic
packaging.
Oh, the Blood Brothers too.
Favorite sets. It looks so cool in the box. Like, this is the only line I've ever collected loose and mock. Like everything you usually is loose. Right. So it's like, I have tubs full of toys and like,
the Blood Brothers was like super fun. Like, as you know, it's not mass market. It's you know, ringside exclusive, and we could have just, you know, we went to town on the splatters. So you know, it was like Dexter meets wrestling on that one for
sure. Awesome reference. I love it.
I never would have imagined when we were getting a Jurassic Express set that, you know, Jungle Boy would be coming on the shoulders of Luchasaurus in there. Like that just blew my mind right there. I'm like, that's amazing. That is so, you know, intuitive.
Or Luchasaurus on Jungle Boy's shoulder.
Oh yeah, I mean, actually, that was I believe we were in Chicago for the C2E2, and there was a, you know, event. Wasn't Revolution? Oh yeah, it was Revolution, right? Yeah. So we were there, and we were out to dinner with Jonathan and Trevor, and like, wouldn't it be great if we did this you know, variant where actually Luchasaurus is on Jungle Boy's shoulders. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So that the credit to you know, Jonathan and Trevor on that one. That was their idea. But
so that was there. Wow.
Okay. To do the variant, yeah, for sure. So yeah,
it's such a cool thing. It's such a cool variant to it.
Yeah,
and it was funny. Like, I'm sure you guys saw the comments on social media. It's like, what's the variant? Just because the factory made a mistake. But you know, guys, that was purposeful, right?
That's cool.
I did see a lot of comments of people going, "That's just a mess up."
No, it was intentional for sure. Yeah.
So you heard it here, guys. No mess up.
Not a mess up.
No mess up.
I bought two. I was like, I gotta have the Boy and His Dinosaur one now too, because it's like it's in the timeline, man. It's in existence.
We have a question from Austin. If you could go back in time and recreate a certain superstar's packaging, what moment or superstar would you choose?
That's a great question, and it would go beyond superstar packaging. If we could do a moment of time of George the Animal Steel biting the turnbuckle and ripping the stuffing out, that's something.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
One of my earliest wrestling memories was my dad had taken me to a wrestling at our church in the little gymnasium, and Georgie Animal Steel was on the card, and he came running into the crowd right at us. And I remember jumping. I must have been 6 or 7. I just remember jumping into my dad's lap, so scared because this guy was so scary to a little kid. And then you hear that he's a college professor as well as a wrestler.
Oh, exactly. And actually, speaking of college professors, did you know that Adam Hangman Page, went to school for graphic design for 2 years, and was a high school teacher? Did you know that?
I found out he was the high.
Yeah, I talked to him about that. We were talking about graphic design one time at New York Toy Fair. It's like, oh yeah, I used to be a graphic designer and went to school for 2 years. And so
that's interesting. I did not know that about him.
Yeah, I just found out from Mike. I think you just told me, right, that he was a high school teacher. I didn't know about the graphic design thing.
Oh yeah.
Me neither. That's cool.
And you talk about a guy who has an aura around him, man. That guy is something. He's something special. He's so young and he's got such a career ahead of him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially when he does that cowboy stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
So what else, guys? It's that awkward silence.
I mean, oh man, we could just sit here and talk all day. If anybody out there has any more questions, just feel free to post them here and ask them for us. But and also, guys, you could get all these great packages at ringsidecollectibles.com. Use the code Tavern. You could save 10%. It's the best online realtor for all of your wrestle and figure needs. Oh, we have a question from a guy named Magic.
I think it's a comment from him.
Oh, it's a comment. Hangman designs all of his own gear, even the designs on the bandanas. Oh, wow.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I didn't even realize that. So I know you hear these wrestlers doing that. I never would have guessed Hangman was one of the guys doing that. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like you like with competition out there on shelves wise and like seeing other companies packaging, do you feel like you have to do you feel competitive about it, or you just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah. I mean, there's always that corporate competitiveness, right? Like like Mattel doing their stuff for WWE, and we're doing our stuff for AEW. But I think at the end of the day, we always want to put out the best packaging we can put out for the product that we have, right? Otherwise, in my mind, it becomes the Me Too, right? If you're always chasing something, it becomes like the Me Too. Well, so-and-so did this and they had angles on their package, and they posed their figures in such a way, in the package. Why chase that, right? Let the product and packaging speak for themselves. And like I said before, let's put a foot forward where it wants to be, not where it needs to be, right? Absolutely. So I think that's the in my mind the most successful packaging strategy. Of course, you have to take in consideration of competitive data in terms of price point, number of pieces, and et cetera, packaging size. But in terms of packaging size in terms like perceived value, a 1-to-1 value of the competitor versus your packaging. But in terms of design, in my mind, anything goes, and you always try to put a design out there that highlights, and like I said before, the best package in which the product can live, either at retail or for the MOC guys. So
wow, that's super cool. Awesome. I just seen Unmatched for the first time, like maybe a month ago, maybe a little less, and like you could really see how much it stands out on the shelves compared to that white packaging that kind of blends in with the back of the shelving from Mattel. Like you got this black and silver, blue, really colorful thing. Like I seen it from down the aisle. I was like, oh yes. It was like score. I was like, what do we got here?
Yeah, man. I ordered mine from Ringside, and then I saw it in Target, and it just blows everything away near it.
Yeah,
like it really just pops. There's something about those Unmatched, and I love that they're just even Unrivaled. They're just nice and compact. They're not bulky. They don't take up a ton of room either. So if you're a
Right.
mint on card collector, it's just perfect. It's the best of both worlds.
Yep, for sure.
We have a question from Austin too. Do you use Adobe for the packaging? How long did it take you to learn the new software? And what do you use to create package concepts back in the day?
Great question. Yeah, so we do use the Adobe Suite. We use Photoshop and a combination of Illustrator. Believe it or not, when I went to school, even when I worked at Tyco, we didn't even use computers, right? We had a drafting table, we had a T-square, we had ruling pens, we had triangles, and I know I'm dating myself, but I think that's an advantage, right? Because you knew how the design process worked, you knew how things were constructed because you had to do it by hand, right?
Right.
And then back in the today it's like, oh, the computer will do it for you. It'll figure out, like, if you had to put text on a package, right? There's a thing called, you had to spec type, right? So you would get a manuscript from the copywriter, and there's a thing called, and I'm boring you with graphic design history, but there was a thing called the Stadler Rule, right? So you would measure the copy, you had to count characters, blah blah blah. So you had to spec type. There was a many mathematical equations that you had to put together to say, like, I need the type to fit this box, right? So you would send it off to the typesetting house. You'd get a gallery. You get the gallery, then you'd have to do a mechanical, throw it on your drafting table. You'd paste it up, blah blah blah. So nowadays, you draw the box in Illustrator or whatever, and it flows a copy in there. Just type your size, and you can figure out whatever, blah blah blah. So to your point, the question was, how long does it take to learn Illustrator and Photoshop? So I've probably been using both for, I don't know, 20 years and still not a master at it, right? So there's always little tricks and things you can do or learn. Like anything else, right? You have your personal way with working in a software. It's not like this is the way you have to do things. You can set things up the way you're accustomed to working. But Austin, what I would recommend is there's tons of YouTube videos out there, watch and learn things. Even if I don't know how to do something, and I've been doing this forever, I pull up a YouTube video and say, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that in Illustrator. I didn't know you could do that in Photoshop. So yeah, for sure.
It's like playing guitar.
I'm a photographer and I use Photoshop quite a bit. And just recently, I can't believe I just only learned that there's a lens correction feature.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You just go in there and it automatically knows on your photo what camera and what lens you use and will fix the image. And the difference it made when I learned that, I was blown away. And I'm like, how did I not know this sooner? How did nobody ever teach me this? And you're right, YouTube is your friend.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When I can't figure something out, first I Photoshop what I'm trying to do, and you get like a quick 2-minute video on how to do it.
Yep.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Chick Foley in the house. The AEW packaging is primo. She is right. The box just feels good in your hands, and she is 100% right.
Shout out to Snead too. Glad you stopped by to join us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's super interesting to hear about what all that goes into it, especially before Photoshop and Illustrator were a thing. Like that's mind blowing. Like that's really cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know if you remember this brand, Dino Riders.
Yeah.
Take some work on that. So when you do the mechanical, right? So you put it down on your board and you paste everything up. And then what you do is a tissue overlay where you need to spec all the color, right? So the idea is, and I know this may be hard to follow, but on the tissue paper, what I would do, I would draw a diagonal on the tissue paper. So try to catch all the colors that appear on that package. And then you have to put in color, like all your comments and call outs, like this is PMS whatever, or this is process breakdown, CMYK whatever, and this photo is for position only. So you would catch the whole packaging. I remember one time I got a press proof back from Asia, where the whole thing was not gold. It literally was just the mark that I put on
Oh,
put on the mechanical.
Wow.
So that only happened once, and I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah,
That's
Cool, man.
hysterical. That's
very
absolutely hysterical, man. Thank you so much, man. This was so awesome and so much fun
Yeah.
to have you.
yeah.
Uh,
Thanks for having me out, man.
Yeah, well, we saw the Jazwares booth at Double or Nothing. Are we going to see you guys this weekend also?
I think there'll be some presence this weekend. There's going to be some photo ops at the Fan Fest. Unfortunately, the crew was supposed to come out, myself, Magic, Greg, and Dave, but doing the company-wide directive for traveling restrictions and so yeah, I was totally looking forward to it, but get why we can't be there. And I know, Mike, you were out there. Are you going around this weekend?
Oh yeah, I'll be there every day of the week.
Yeah. So there'll be an opportunity there. There'll be a Jazwares presence for sure. Some photo op stuff that the team put together, and
that's the truth.
Magic.
That's so true. And we didn't have much news this week, guys, so we didn't really have a news segment. But Jeremy did tweet out the other day there is some news coming within the next few days, so stay tuned to the internet, your Twitter, your Instagram, at the Fan Fest. You never know where the news is going to pop up. And Ringside Collectibles also has a bunch of new pre-orders. The Ultimate Edition Series 11, The Undertaker and Kane is up for pre-order. I think Elite Series 90 is up for pre-order, and a bunch of other things. So head over to ringsidecollectibles.com. Remember, use code TAVERN, save 10%. Man, this was really awesome. Like I love talking to guys like you and giving us the whole different perspectives to stuff we love and just take for granted, and getting to hear the backstories, man. Like thank you.
Good look into something that we never knew anything about before. I love getting into stuff like this.
Me too, man. It was so great, man. It meant so much to us to have you here, and thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys. 100%. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
You're welcome back anytime. We can talk again after a couple more Ringside exclusive come out.
Yeah, for sure. maybe wait till I get, I don't know, maybe 30 posts on Instagram. You can have me back.
Oh man, this was great, guys. Watching at home, thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week, 8:00 Eastern time, right here, Turnbuckle Tavern YouTube channel. Thank you again, Chris. This was awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see you all next week.